Part 11. Planning for the common people to do the military training and self-defense preparation. Ming Yu returned to the palace and was locked in the study for 3 whole days. He asked Xu Wen to find a lot of books about Liangzhou and Shishi country for some question. Fortunately, Xu Wen is indeed a talented person, and he can easily solve many questions. But that's it. Xu Wen is always ready to deal with His Highness's problems, but within a few days, Xu Wen's eye circles have darkened, and his whole person is floating when he walks. Xu Wen stared at Ming Yu, watching him write and draw on paper, and there were even words that he couldn't understand, or that he had never seen before. Xu Wen is conceited that he is a little talented. He can even know most of Sui Wen from Shishi country, but he doesn't know any of Ming Yu's simple strokes. It's a pity that Ming Yu didn't know what he was thinking. So he just wrote down the vague thoughts in his heart, slowly improved it, and repeatedly deduced the feasibility of the method. There is also a calculation formula to calculate how to make your own method save manpower and material resources. After Ming Yu rubbed his brows and stopped writing, Xu Wen asked, "Your Highness, what are you doing?" Ming Yu then remembered that Xu Wen had come early in the morning, and asked 2 questions. After that, people were completely forgotten. Xu Wen didn't leave either. Just stayed silently and didn't make a sound to disturb him. Although he didn't know what Prince Duan was busy with, since he would be asked questions anytime, anywhere. He would be on standby at any time. Ming Yu figured out some things at this time, and he was quite happy, and said with a smile, "If you want the people to live a stable life, you must first find a way to deal with internal troubles. Here I think of ways to deal with bandits and invade foreign bandits. Master Xu, why don't you take a look and see if there are any omissions?" Xu Wen was stunned. What did His Highness Prince Duan just say? The way to deal with thieves and bandits? Could it be that His Highness has been sleeping and eating for the past few days just to come up with such a solution? However, these thieves and bandits have been in trouble for a long time. It is not that no one has come up with a solution, but that there is nothing that can be done. It is really incomprehensible. Now, His Royal Highness Prince Duan actually said that there is a way? How could Xu Wen not be stunned? It took him a long time to find his voice. "Your Highness, is what you said true? Is there really a solution?" Ming Yu picked up the neat stack of papers on the table full of plans, nodded and said, "Of course, it's true." After speaking, he handed the paper to Xu Wen. "You look at it first, if you have any questions, then read it." Xu Wen took it carefully and looked at it from the beginning. To be honest, His Highness's handwriting can't be said well. It is curved like a dragon on the ground, and it can only be barely recognized. It is almost the same as a young child who has just been studying. At the beginning, Xu Wen read quickly. He was erudite and remembered, and he could remember 7, 7, 8, 8 with just a glance. However, after turning 2 pages, his reading speed slowed down significantly. From 1 eye to 10 lines to 1 word for 1 sentence. I can't bear to let go of the pauses between the words. At the end, Xu Wen's eyes were bright, and the excitement in his eyes could not be hidden for a long time. He paced around twice, and then asked, "Your Highness, this method, can it really work?" But not yet when Ming Yu answered. He clenched his fists and waved, and said excitedly, "If it can be done, it will definitely be done." Ming Yu smiled without saying a word, took a sip of the cold tea on the table, and took a sip. Immediately, his whole face was wrinkled with bitterness, and then he remembered that he had ordered Qingping to serve extra strong tea, which was very refreshing. Xu Wen fell into deep thought. He carefully pondered the method on Ming Yu's paper, deduced it in his head, and then bowed to Ming Yu. His Royal Highness's plan will definitely solve the current trouble. and the lower official will replace the common people to thank you, Your Highness. Ming Yu lifted him up and said with a smile, "The people under the rule of the territory are the responsibility of this prince, so why do you need to thank me? But please first, what is your opinion?" Xu Wen pondered for a while, then organized a sentence before saying, "Let's talk about the first method mentioned by Your Highness, one of which is to let the people in the village patrol every day. And even build a belvedere. If there is an enemy situation, you can notify the people in advance, and let the people do a good job. Preparation for an enemy attack. Second, let everyone dig the winding tunnels and connect each household secretly, so that everyone can hide when the enemy is attacked. And they can also hide the surplus food and financial items in every household in the tunnel. In this way, if there are thieves and bandits coming, there will be no loss. And the people can hide in it in advance, so that the enemy will be empty, and nothing will be gained. The method is indeed wonderful." He patted his hands in admiration, and really admired Ming Yu's ability to come up with such a method. But he paused for a while, and then asked his own question. "It's just that if the enemy finds a clue and uses the method of flooding the fire with water, can the safety of the people be guaranteed?" Xu Wen asked the idea as soon as he arrived, proving that he was think carefully about your plan. Ming Yu is very satisfied. His head is really smart. Xu Wen's performance these days, Ming Yu sees it, he is really a rare talent. Before, he was only a petty official in the prefect's office who looked after the documents and files, and he was also a talented person. Ming Yu nodded. These must be considered in advance. The tunnel is like a labyrinth, and the entrance to the tunnel is set in a hidden place, which is not easy for ordinary people to find. If the enemy is alone, and the two fists are hard to beat the four hands, the people can easily deal with it. If the fire is flooded, the design of the smoke and drainage should be done in the tunnel, so that people must be safe inside. As for the builders of the tunnels, this prince brought a lot of skilled craftsmen from Beijing. At that time, they will personally survey and design the tunnel map, and then the people will start digging during the slack of farming. I think that as long as the people work together, it will not take long to complete the work. We can do it. Try a few points first, and then spread it to the whole of Liangzhou when it is effective." Ming Yu has already thought about everything. But Xu Wen has nothing but admiration in his heart. He thought that Prince Duan, like most of the gangsters, used Liangcheng as a thief, and it was the same as the rumors. His brain was broken. Over the past few days, he has also seen clearly that Prince Duan's sleeplessness these days is for the sake of the people. He really did not expect that Prince Duan could think of the people all the time and plan everything for the people with all his might. Such a prince is true subverting his usual thinking. He is not those rich and powerful, he is a good person. It is a blessing for the people to come to Liangcheng for Prince Duan. Your Highness is wise. Xu Wen bowed his hands in a salute. Sincerely admiring, he thought about it and continued to say, "The second method mentioned by His Highness is to merge the small villages into a large stockade, and then build the stockade into a fortress that is easy to defend and difficult to attack. And let one or two teams of soldiers protect, advance to repel the enemy, and retreat to guard the villagers. In this way, the enemy can't attack the stockade that is as strong as a tortoise shell. However, this cost should also be huge, and the construction will take longer. In addition, if the garrison team is kept in the stockade for a long time, if they have a different mind, it will be troublesome to conflict with the people." Xu Wen is more optimistic about the second method, but the stockade must be guarded by a real army. When the enemy is really facing the enemy, he can be in danger and command the people to fight the enemy together. This is also the biggest drawback, and the garrison has to guard against the invasion of foreign enemies and barbarians. and the soldiers are already very nervous. There is not enough manpower, and they have to be assigned to guard the stockade, which is even more scattered. I am afraid that General Wei is difficult to nod. It is said that spending money and soldiers guarding is at present. Ming Yu's headache is the construction of a large stockade without manpower and material resources. It is difficult for a clever woman to cook without rice. No matter how good the method is, if it cannot be implemented, it is equal to zero. Ming Yu bit his head and said, I will think of a way to make money. But it is impossible to do it overnight. I have to eat one bite at a time. As for the army guarding the stockade, I have also considered it, as you said, so I don't. I plan to have the garrison come. After all, it is very difficult for the garrison to deal with the barbarian army outside the customs. I will find a way to make another arrangement. The siege plan, the stockade is always inferior to the city. Xu Wen said in a hurry, but after thinking about it, the conversation changed. Does Your Highness have any good ideas? It is better to rely on others than yourself. Ming Yu saw Xu Wen seem to be in a hurry to get angry, a little funny, he had a vague idea. And now he didn't give a shit, and said slowly, I plan to let the strong young men among the people come to the military base for training every year. After returning to the stockade in 2 or 3 months, they will be able to take on the responsibility of guarding their own homes and their families. What? Xu Wen was really surprised now. He had never heard of the common people to do the military training. It takes only 2 or 3 months of training to become an army. Is His Royal Highness Prince Duan joking? At this juncture, this is not the time to joke. In order to prove that he was not joking, Ming Yu continued according to his own train of thought, I call this kind of person a reserve soldier. They go to the ground when they are busy and train in their spare time. The stockade is their home, and the common people are their family. There is no worry of not doing our best to protect. The same people also trust them, and with them, they can effectively organize the people to resist the bandits. That's right, it sounds like a good way. But the most important point is that a commoner who only knows how to farm, can they really have the ability to resist thieves and bandits in just 2 or 3 months? It's simply a fantasy. Xu Wen had already asked the question before he knew it, and before he could react, Ming Yu's answer was already in his ears. Yes, you can use your spare time to train twice a year. 2 or 3 months each time, without delaying the farming time, and there will be such training every year in the future. After they go back, they can train in the stockade by themselves according to the training method they learned every day. Xu Wen still didn't believe it, so wouldn't everyone be a soldier? At that time, our Dayan Country will not be afraid of the small country of Shuishi Country. It's just that, according to the laws of the Imperial Court, military households can only enter the military. Xu Wen still had a lot of concerns. Ming Yu smiled slightly, they are not military households, and naturally they are not soldiers. They are just people who can protect their families and the country. Xu Wen was a little stunned, and it was hard to turn his head all of a sudden, but Ming Yu did not explain more. Many things can only be accepted after seeing them with one's own eyes, otherwise a person's inherent concept will be difficult to change. When his 500 elite army is born, I am afraid that many people's eyes will be shocked. Speaking of which, after such a long time, the training ground that Mo Zhang handled should be built, right? Although Commander Mo would come to him every 2 or 3 days to report the progress and solve the problems here and there, but for so long, he had been busy and didn't have time to go over to the scene to take a look. Well, when am I free to go over there and take a look? In terms of the current conditions, the manpower and material resources for building stockades are indeed somewhat lacking, and it is impossible for all villages in Liangzhou to build stockades. So I plan to build tunnels and build villages together. That's what I meant before. Do a few experimental points first to see what the effect is, and then we will decide what to do next. In this way, even if my idea is wrong and it is not suitable for these two methods, I can stop the loss in time. Ming Yu took it slow of expressing his thoughts. Although these methods are based on his summarizing the experience of later generations, in the end, whether such methods are suitable for the land of Liangzhou, Ming Yu has no idea in his heart. So he can only adopt a compromise method. In addition, the cost of money is really stretched. There is no news about the letter he sent to the capital. Even if his caravan can set off immediately, it is not now to see a profit, so he can only take it slowly. Xu Wen understands Ming Yu's concerns. He has already considered all the problems. This is the best. And it will not be too labor-intensive and costly. Little Minister agrees. Xu Wen salutes. Then how about leaving this to Master Xu? Ming Yu said with a smile, alas. Who let him have too few people to use? Those who are capable work hard, and Xu Wen is also a talented person. Moreover, he is an authentic Liangzhou native. If he persuades the people to implement the plan, it will be twice the result with half the effort. Don't you worry about yourself? Regardless of whether Xu Wen agreed or not, he immediately said, this matter is the great importance and is closely related to the people. We must do our job well and not force it. We must explain the advantages and disadvantages of doing this to the people, so that the people can fully obey. It's all voluntary, without any resistance. This is the first step. Do you understand? Xu Wen was so excited that he didn't expect the prince to entrust such an important task to him. It can definitely change the future of Liangzhou. And maybe it can be recorded in history. He is only a small 7th rank official, and there are countless officials in Liangzhou who are bigger than him. How can he get the trust of the prince? And the kindness he has encountered, it is still difficult to repay him with a grass title ring. Xu Wen's eyes were red with excitement. He straightened his clothes, and then bowed to Ming Yu and bowed to the ground to pay homage. I will live up to you. Just think that the people are the best return for the prince. Xu Wen nodded his head and promised, and also brought up what he didn't understand. Ming Yi answered patiently, and between questions and answers, chief and ministers complement each other. Xu Wen gained a lot from it, and admired Ming Yu's whimsy even more.